There we go. Sorry. Welcome to Piece of Pat Paints. I'm Pat. I was looking at this cloak. I'm very interested in it. There's a lot we have to kind of figure out here with this thing because it's a little bit complicated. I think we'll be okay though. I think we're gonna have an idea coming around here in just a second. Turn on the light if I can figure out where that went. There we go. So welcome. I hope everybody's having a great morning. It's really interesting to be back in the mornings now. We've only been doing this now for a couple of shows, 2-3 weeks, I think. So it's kind of interesting for me to do. It's been fun. It's been exciting and an adventure in its own special way. I'm not always the most morning-y of morning people. So it's taken me a little bit of time to get used to it, but it's you know, as I've gotten used to it, I've gotten to where I really kind of enjoy it. Kind of like being here a little earlier. I can get things done, and I can go do other stuff, and I don't. I feel like we get more views in the morning. It's weird, but it happens. It's like something about noon is just hard for people to come see us. So you know, whatever. Works good for me. So we're going to shrink Steve-O Vision here. Come on, pull that down for me, Steve. Thank you, sir. Not that Steve is just my computer. I talk to him all the time. It's weird. I'm not okay with it. And, you know, that's where it goes. Anyway, so we've got... Let me pull this thing over here. So we've got all this cloak room. He's got a lot of room on this cloak. And it's kind of all splayed out for us. Now, we also have this picture of said cloak. Now, that's got a lot going on. So, we've got some choices. It looks like what they're going for here is almost like a paisley. But we can try to duplicate something like this, which would look good on the bottom. So that's pretty flippin' complicated to do. Well, so let's see. Let me think about this for just a second. I'm taking a couple drinks of coffee. I'm gonna find us something to listen to real quick, and we're gonna think about that. That's a lot. That's a lot of work. Luckily, the top of it is just white. So it's not that big of a deal, or not white, blue. So it's not that big of a deal. It could be a little bit hard if we make it hard. We're going to try to make this kind of easy, and we're going to try to make it, you know, like something that's doable for us in a quick manner. You know, we don't want to spend like 1,000,000 hours trying to make this work, though it is possible to do something like that. Alright, here we go. Little cyber audio guy again. Or cyber guy audio. I keep making a mistake on that guy's name. I gotta stop that. I even typed it in wrong. Yeah. So, we got that going. Let's go ahead and take this stuff off and put it back in our cup. I might be about to start going to play some games at the local game store soon. So that'll be fun. I'll play some Warhammer. So we got to get back on Tyranids soon. Maybe even just behind the scenes. I got to start working on Tyranids because I get ready if I'm gonna go play with these guys. But they're doing some sort of a league, and I got invited, and yeah, sure, why not? I'm gonna play. I haven't played like an official game of Warhammer in 24 years. No, that's wrong. No, that's right. It's probably been about 24 years. Goodness, I'm getting old. Okay. Because, you know, teaching the kids kind of how to play is not like playing a real game of Warhammer. It's fun, though. It is a lot of fun. Alright, now, very gently come off of there. Come off of there. Okay. Off to the side you go. Okay. Alright, let's see. Where was that? Take a look at that again. What the heck did I knock over now? That sounded loud, but I can't figure out what it was. Okay, so a lot of this you wouldn't even know what you were looking at in movement, and it looks like it's just some quick freehand floral pattern kind of thing. Should be pretty easy, honestly, if we make it easy. Okay, so we need like a flower piece here. You just want to make your base sketches. Now you can mess with this later. You can modify it however you want later on. But you need to get a place marker down on kind of what you want everything to look like. This is kind of splaying out a little bit once it gets up there. And there's like a broad leaf underneath it. A bit of another leaf kind of coming out that way. Another kind of flowery looking thing here with little dot circle things. This needs to kind of floof out a little bit more here. Okay. And it's going to kind of continue on. Oh, it's like a snakehead looking thing right here. That's kind of funky. I'm trying to capture the gist of it. I won't worry too much about the details. We'll paint some detail parts into it later. Come through here. This is like some sort of snake or devil thing. I don't know. That's a weird looking little. Weird looking little hill. Okay, it kind of comes into a. This is a section here, and then there's like a little thing that kind of comes down with it. Even thinner than that. And then they connect and they come back up here. And it kind of looks like we're going to start kind of being on our own here in a minute, because this is all too blurry to see more flowers and stuff. We're just going to kind of do a pattern here that we think is going to work. Put another flower thing right here. I'm going to make it kind of look like a vine, because that's what it, I think it's supposed to kind of be like a vine with these flowers and things on it. Yeah, I think I like that idea better. We're just going to make it kind of like flowering vines coming across this thing. That's kind of what it looks like they're trying to do anyway. A flowering plant, or it's really hard to kind of describe what it is they've made. Their character design is very unique, which is what makes them so cool. All their stuff's so cool. Now remember, all this stuff, we're going to be painting over a lot of this, so we just kind of really want to get our main lines in. It gets kind of complicated when you're dealing with a thing that moves around like this. The cloak kind of goes in and out of itself a lot, so it kind of becomes a really big mess of things to deal with. Okay. Alright. So there's a basic idea. Now, it's supposed to be in white with a little bit of red. The red pattern is kind of a different pattern on top of it. We're going to go ahead and just yank out a little bit of white. I'm even going to bother setting up a wet palette on this. I'm just going to throw this white right in. This is so exciting. I'm getting ready to have to go buy some new white. And I haven't bought white in a long time because it takes a long time to go through one of these tubes, like a long time. And I don't use white quite as much as I use everything else. So like it's fun to see. It's fun to see it finally rolling out. Like, oh wow, I finally used it. But yeah, I don't use white very often. It's more like a blending color. I use it to like make other colors do other things. Occasionally I do put white on things, but I've been doing that a lot more lately. These a couple of these guys have had like white hair, so, or fur, or both. Okay. So let's carry on with our idea in that this is actually a vine. We're going to ignore a little bit of those leaves we just put in. Again, I'm not super concerned with where I'm going with this just yet. I'm just trying to get some of this down and going so we can kind of have an idea. We're going to come back with that blue, the Payne's gray bluish color that we used on a couple things earlier. So we're going to bring that back. And we're going to do the cloak in it. Now these are supposed to be like leaves and little branch things. And we got a little flower piece here. I'll kind of ignore that one little spot we did, which we're trying to do that other kind of funny flower motif. That's gonna, let me put a few little branches on this as we go. Like I said, that pencil was really just there to inspire me to move these lines in the right direction. Just kind of a guideline more than anything else. Seeing some of these little branch offs can have. And we'll come back and we'll add like little flower bits and stuff like that later. Right now we're kind of trying to get the idea of how we want the main flow to go. Again, this may be a little bit different than what his actual cloak looks like, but in the end, we're going to get something pretty close. Maybe even neater, because it's something new and different. I'm trying to make sure I know that there's a line there, because again, this is just this first kind of dropping down a marker. I'm painting a model of Godfrey. Yes, I am. Here's what we've gotten done so far. Ooh, careful, careful, careful. Thanks for asking, Rasmus Johnson. So it's big. He's a big old model, but he's going to look great. And we're going to pull this blue color onto that cloak we're working on right now, so that we can kind of pull the colors through the model. Kind of helps the eye move, and coordination is something that people do in general. So you would imagine that parts of his cloaks are going to match other parts of his other. Wow, just beautiful. Wow, very beautiful. Hey, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. It's a lot of fun. I played a little bit of the games. I'm not very good at them, and so like I can't get very far. My son loves them, and my client, this is a piece for a client. My client is in love with this game too, and so it's been fun. It's been a really cool adventure. I've gotten to learn a lot about the game and the characters and the world, which has been really cool. And right now we're just kind of, his cloak has this funky kind of like, it's not exactly a paisley pattern, but it's a floral kind of pattern on his cloak. And so I'm kind of trying to give us that look without being too much exactly like the picture, because or the source material, because he's moving so fast in the source material you don't hardly see it, and then like I guess you can get the cloak and use it, but even then on the way it's modeled, it's really kind of hard to see the details of what's supposed to be going on here. So I'm kind of trying to emulate it, but not simulate it. We want it to look something like that, but not maybe exactly. I'm really thinking that maybe this side down here, we need to make this look more like a tree piece where it's coming off the tree, and then make it look more like these branches are kind of winding down, the kind of coming out off this main tree, kind of like it's part of maybe it's part of the Erd tree, or I think that's right. Erd tree is the name of the crazy tree in it. So now we're just going to come back and we're just going to kind of put in a few more of these little branches. And the thing with branches, you don't have to be super exact. Once you kind of get the idea of how branches work, it's pretty easy. They kind of just stick up in a certain way and they go a certain direction. And each one of these little branch pieces we can use later to kind of make a yep. Are you using official artwork for restaurants? Yes. Yes and no. I use some games. I use like game cuts and some of the official imagery, and then a little bit of it though I've been going off of some other fan art stuff, because there's just some stuff you just can't see, and the model itself is copyright broken, which means that when they made it, they changed enough things to where they wouldn't have to pay direct royalties to FromSoft is the name of the game, the company, I think, and so they kind of did a thing where if you change enough of something, you can kind of get away with breaking the copyright So like I said, we're going to try and kind of make this look like it's the tree where this is all coming from. That may not work for us. I may change my mind on that. But we got plenty of ability to do that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is make our blue, and we're going to bring those blues up to those edges, and then we'll figure out the rest of it from there. Now, to make that blue color, we are using Payne's Gray. This is a Windsor acrylic again, and I use a lot. I use a lot of Windsor Newtons. Almost everything we've used on this has been Windsor. And we're going to need quite a bit of it, so we're going to put that down. Now it's a dark. This is a darker paint. So we're going to add just my brush, just a touch of that white to it, and we want this base coat to kind of be pretty dark. We don't want it to be too light because we want to come back and add highlights later. But we don't want it full Payne's Gray darkness because that's like almost black. We're just dropping this color down real quick. We want to make sure it's nice and smooth. Don't let it get too thick on you. If it feels like you're not able to move it around enough, get your brush wetter, and that's going to help us move that paint around a little bit more. And remember, there is a texture to this cloak, so we don't want to lose that. We don't want to, and it's more down here than it is up here, because this is more of where it's underneath his other part of his cloak, because there's a cap that goes on this. I'm guessing it's the full part of the cloak, and we're going to use this big brush to get close, but we don't want to damage all the work we just did. So once we get close, we're going to back off, and we'll come back in later with our smaller brushes just to make this a little bit faster. I don't know anything about painting, but it's very satisfying to watch somebody paint. Hey, well, thanks, man. That's kind of what this whole channel is about. We paint all sorts of different stuff. I'm retired from the chef world, and now I own a studio in my house, and I painted a bunch of random stuff, mainly D&D pieces, and then I do pastels and other stuff, but landscapes. But my friends were like, "Oh my God, Pat, why do you not have a YouTube channel?" And I was like, I don't even understand what you're talking about. Why would I do that? And then my friends got me doing this. So shout out to them. Otherwise, I'd still be painting by myself with nobody watching. All right, so back here we really can go with just a little bit more of that darker color. Again, don't worry about it looking so perfect back here. This is definitely going to be where we can't see it. It's going to, especially right in here. We do want to get the color in there though, especially this darker Payne's Gray, because it's going to, if you look underneath the model, you're going to see where there's no paint, and then you didn't really do your job, did you? Kind of halved it, which is all right if that's what you want as your sculpture. But again, this is a studio piece commission going to a client, so we want to make sure that it's all done up to professional stuff. Again, we get in these edges. Avoid getting into our freehand. It gets a little complicated on where to hold it. And you notice I try to keep all my strokes going in the same direction. Now, sometimes with these textures, you do have to move around and change your direction a little bit to get it in there. But when you do that, come back. So it's like, you have to do this. Always come back, clean up your strokes. It's going to help it dry even, and it's going to look smoother and you're just going to be happier with your product that way. Alright, make sure we got all these edges. Edges on cloaks always like to go in painted. It's a funny thing. Every time I check, when my kids paint stuff and they're like, hey Dad, did I get it all? This is always the place I look, because they always miss these little edges. Definitely trying not to get our design painted over. Leave it alone. Alright, cool. I think I can sit for a second. Okay. Now we need to come back and start working on getting it down into here. We're going to take that part out. We're going to make that tree kind of come like this instead of it being like the side of the tree. And try to manipulate it into looking more like just a branch. Like I said, the big thing here is to not worry about it. This is just the base start. We're going to come back and add a lot more details to it. We might even change some things. We wanted to drop that white down to be the whitest part of the whole thing. And once I've kind of gone down there and dropped it in there, you can come back and smooth that out. In some places you won't have that advantage, but it does work nicely right there. And it's okay if you get a little over paint. At this point, it's going to be okay. By overpainting, I mean where you've painted over something that you already painted one color with a different color. Because we're going to come back and we're going to do a lot of... There'll be a lot of changes and a lot of fixes as we go through this. But in the end, it should look really nice. Holy mackerel, we got a lot of views going on. Welcome everybody, thanks for coming by. Really, really appreciate it. Like I said, all those marks are there just to kind of give us an idea of what we want to do. This will change as we go, and we'll make decisions and say, oh, that's not working, or that is, or... You can see how we didn't even really exactly follow our pencil lines. We kind of did, but I did make some different choices as I came back through. That's why it's kind of important to do it with the full process of doing this. That sketching on helped us get an idea going, and then the paint really kind of started refining that idea. Our first round kind of came up with a little bit better flow for the idea, and then this is really starting to dial in exactly what we need it to look like. I think we're going to highlight this with a different blue. We may come back with like a acrylion for the very, very top highlights to really make this the blue that he is. He's a much brighter blue than this. So it depends on the texture of the thing you're painting. Yes. So everything kind of depends. You have a battle between the texture of what you're painting versus the texture of the paint you're using. And some people prefer like thinner paints than what I prefer. I like a nice thick paint. I want it to start off thick, and then I want to be able to kind of change my textures. A little bit of water can just change it up and make it a different texture for you. And it depends on, again, like you were just saying, depends on what the texture on the model is. This has a cloth texture to it, so like it's gonna, the bumps and stuff are gonna be there underneath your paint. If you put too much thick paint on there, then you'll lose all of that texture. It also dictates the direction you have to paint it, which, you know, can lead to some interesting decisions on what you have to do to get it to work. And there's some tricks too to kind of help with that. When you've been painting for a long time, you pick a lot of them up. I was classically trained painter originally. My aunt was a very famous artist in New Mexico. I guess still is kind of famous. Local famous. But so I spent a lot of time in her studio learning how to paint, and I took a lot of art classes and things like that through the years. And now I paint for money instead of being a chef. I was a garde manger chef, so I did a lot of artsy stuff anyway, vegetable carvings and that sort of thing. Okay, so I kind of want to leave. Okay, we need to think. I need to think. Maybe come back and work a little bit more on making this section here look like a branch. So this has got to get a little thicker to make this look like a branch. And then we can add some details into the branch later. And you can see how the texture is kind of affecting the paint right there. You're going to get a little bit of water, help loosen up that paint, and it's going to flow right into the crevices. Oh, picked up a little bit of Payne's gray in that. Came out of the corner here. Pull that out. So, sometimes you run into your own little mistakes. Okay, so if this is a branch, then this is not gonna fall that soon. It needs to be a little thicker going through here. This needs to be a little thicker going through here. And then we kind of have to change all of this up. So I'll make that a branch. Kind of going down through there. Okay. So this is where we're definitely kind of deviating now into our own realm. We're no longer being constrained by the original design, and we're taking ourselves into a new place. based on some of the ideas of the original design and really kind of the game itself, because we're kind of going to kind of use this white idea as kind of maybe the Erd tree coming through here. You see how that was going on too thick for us, so I had to come back. Just gonna drop it is what I'm gonna do. Okay. Alright, so maybe this one actually needs to kind of come back for us a little bit as well. And by that I mean, let's kind of pull it back up into the picture just a little bit. We're going to come from behind that and up through here. So this one's going to kind of come down. I need to thicken a lot of this up too so it can have the distance. See, now we can actually get rid of that and we can turn this branch kind of, we can make these branches kind of, that's this branch, and then now this branch can actually kind of come back up this direction too. And they can kind of wind around each other. I'll bring that up a little higher. So we want to get that out. Just making it, basically making a mark. Gotta go, sadly. Good luck with the cape. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for coming. Definitely nice to have people to come by and say hello and appreciate the stuff. That really, really, really makes my day. Cannot explain how much it does. Okay. Doop 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 doop. Slowly but surely, slowly but surely. Uh-oh. I don't want to do that. So I've accidentally gotten a little blue paint on our guy. I need to put him away so we don't do this again. You just fix this by putting water in there. And get rid of our little handy dandy sponge and pull that right out. Now, luckily that's set overnight, so it's not going to disturb our paint from yesterday. Okay, but you got to be careful because that's a super easy mistake to make. I put him all the way over there so he's not in our way anymore. And I don't make that mistake again because I definitely should know better. Alright, there definitely needs to be some... That branch has got to come out more on that. That's got to... Also, I guess it could stand to be thicker all the way through. I think our branches in general could stand to be thicker all the way through, but we're going to deal with that later. Because we can always come back and layer on top of it, make it thicker, and bring it straight to the blue. I just didn't want to over blue our areas where we have our branches. The center of them anyway. Okay, and then we wanted this to come up through here. And not this one. We're going through here. Okay. Again, come back, tighten up these strokes. Almost an hour. I'll try to get this. I'm going to try to get all this blue on today. Might even blue up the other part to the cloak, just to have it done. And now I'm kind of thinking we don't want these curls. I thought they were kind of fun at first, but now I'm changing my mind. I actually want to go ahead and we're going to bring this branch down like this. We're going to let that branch. We should actually bring that branch up and down this way. Entirely as well. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. This branch is going to kind of come like that. And this can even be a branch part that comes off this way, down that way. Yep. You see how fast that changes, like how we had an idea and then we started really putting it together, and then we've come up with a different, maybe probably even better result, honestly. It's a very different result, but I feel like we've got a better look here. And there's some cohesion to it. We weren't going to have much cohesion with that other design. It was too hard to figure out what was happening because the details were so strange. And it's in a style I'm not used to painting. It looked definitely looked very Japanese silk kind of look. I'm not trained in that kind of thing, so we're gonna do something else. The original paint on these models, because I've seen how they painted them originally, it was just blue. They didn't even put anything on it. So we're definitely trying to go that extra mile with a little bit of work on the back. Totally worth it. Totally exciting. Little freehand work is always going to be cool. It definitely will make the model in the end. Still got a long way to go to get there. We got to fix a lot of stuff and add quite a bit more. We've got a lot of colors to go. We've got a lot of designs to go. We got a lot of things to do. All very exciting. All right, almost wrapped up for our hour here, which is great. You can see now how it's a branch, really starting to look like a branch going across this cloak. I'm really digging it. I'm digging it. There was a tree on the back of Melania too, so this is going to be fun to kind of match him up a little bit. She's red, he's blue, even though he's got a little bit of red on him. I don't think they were enemies or anything. I think everybody, it seems like Radan went and messed everything up. And then Radagon tried to fix it, I guess? I don't know. It's super complicated. Okay, clean up those. I love it when people come to chat. That was really awesome. I really appreciate you, Mr. John Johansson. Johansson. I said that wrong the first time, and I apologize. That is definitely Mr. Johansson, and appreciate you coming by. I think it's Mr. Rasmus. Rasmus, I think, is a male name. It sounds like Norwegian, or Dutch. Not exactly sure. Clean up any little thumbprints we left in there. Okay. Just to have that cleaned up. I'm going to work down here maybe. Oh, I really like it. I really like it. Alright. This guy here, just blue. Easy, easy, easy one. Okay, and the shoulders are going to meet right there, so I don't have to worry too much about that. His head fits in that slot, so we don't have to worry about that. Should have worn some gloves. I'm going to have to wash my hands. Okay. Not that you're really going to see this. I think you completely missed most of this. But that darkness is really going to help make sure that there's not something light poking out. We don't want that. I guess that's going to meet with his shoulders. Okay, beautiful. Just get all the way around this just in case. This piece kind of just sits on the armor. Just to make sure it's good. And a lot of this stuff here, we're gonna have to redo this when we attach it, because there's that gap between the armor and the cloak that we need to go ahead and bring together and fix and make sure it's gonna look smooth and like the cloak is actually in or hanging on top of the armor. But all this stuff has to dry, and we are done with our hour, so we are in great shape, which is, you know, not always how it goes around here. But today it did, so hallelujah. We're gonna take our wins, and we're just gonna go home. We're gonna make sure I got all this a little bit more smoothed out. Use up the rest of this paint while I got it, right? Okay. And this piece actually is going to sit on it. About like so. Not exactly, but very close to something like that. Now again, remember we're going to come back in with some whole nother rounds of blues and stuff like that. So what this looks like now, and what it's going to look like in another 2 sessions, completely different things. But it is going to be, this is going to be, this may be one of my my opuses. This will be a big deal when this is all done. It's been super exciting. So anyway, again, thank you. Everybody came by with 10 whole views today in the middle of the show, which is wild for us. We usually get all those shows, all the views like 8 later. People come back and watch me later. But like we got a gang of views in today. That's awesome. We had a lot of concurrent too. Which means everybody's watching at the same time, which is cool. That's impressive. Really appreciate it. And thank you again, Mr. Johansson, for dropping in and saying hello. You guys are awesome. Thank you again so much. It really makes my day to know that you guys enjoy this stuff. It's a lot of fun for me, so it's cool to be able to share it. And anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Have a great one. We're going to talk to you later. Bye.